The roof was normally a place for students to laugh and talk, but under the cold moonlight, the empty benches seemed silent and sad. Wish I had a roof like that at my school. We just had normal building roofs, really. Kurusu looked at the benches and shivered once more. It wasn't just because of the cold, it was because she had realised that this place was truly empty. Of course it was. No one was allowed here at this hour. It was an isolated place where the warm light didn't reach, only the cold light did. No matter what happened here, the rest of the world wouldn't care. It wouldn't exist outside of this place. It was so perfect for her that it was almost sad, Kurusu thought. While Kurusu was waiting for her to arrive, she hadn't been thinking about the case, strangely. She'd been thinking about her family and friends. What had she always said to her family before she'd left to come here in the morning? Did they smile? The younger students who'd helped with the student council's work. The talk she'd had with her classmates about the latest fads. The brief fights in the lunchroom, forgotten as soon as the bell rang to tell them to go back to class. Each time she started to lapse too deep into her memories, a cold wind would blow and pull her back to reality. And then she'd realised something with a self-abased laugh. She knew it. The reason Nono wasn't thinking about the case was because that part of her was sure she already knew everything. If she asked, she would get the final answer, the fatal answer that would lay bare the truth. And once she'd heard the answer... Have a gun ready! Strong and blue as it would carry away her thoughts, and she closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, she heard the sound of a rusty door opening.
Non-chan?
Her lips twisted a little when she heard her say it.
Non-chan.
It made her mad to hear herself called that. She felt heat rising from the bottom of her stomach. It was time to begin.
本当に悪かったわね。こんなところに呼び出して。ね、おのえ。のんちゃん?
Stop the innocent act! Did she realize that Kurusu was using a different name? Or did she sense something instinctively? Sarika repeated herself, this time with a suspicious look on her face. She tried to get closer, but a glance from Kurusu stopped her. Sarika froze.
答えなさい。あなたなの？何が？答えなさい。
Kurusu repeated her words to her former best friend, the one person outside her family she called by first name. But Sarika's expression didn't change. It was the same face Kurusu knew so well, the same look as when Sarika bought a crepe and was wondering what was inside. Thinking back, the two of them went shopping together all the time. Inoue had insisted that she looked fine without makeup, and Kurusu had insisted on buying her some anyway. It had been a lot of fun. Ah, that's the connection to the leaky noise. And they were always together in the club. She'd argued against Takeru's reckless plans and stopped Kazuki from pounding the wall, and the two of them had always been amazed at the stupid things Ito said. But they'd always been laughing together. But...
第一の事件。あそこにいたのはあなたよね。わかんないよ、のんちゃん。さっきから何を。映像に音が入ってた。私のよく知ってる音がね。
in the Don't Look at Me video. She heard the strange sound of Sariko's Gero Froggy Maid. So he had a bad habit of unconsciously fiddling with it whenever she was focusing on something. Kurusu took a step closer to stop herself from falling over, and glared at Sariko with a challenge in her eyes. That's right, Kurusu was glaring at Sariko.
ちょっと、なんちゃん。答えなさいって言ってるでしょ。
Sariko staggered back at the ground with loud footsteps. Finally, her expression changed. There was fear in it.
ユイは、私たちの家族から消えてしまった。死んでしまったの。もう帰ってこないの。どうして、あんなことをしたの。
Sariko stayed quiet, the terrified expression still on her face. Was she really terrified of Kurusu? Or was she trying to fool her? Or did she have a separate personality that had the powers? That was an interesting idea. Kurusu took another step forward.
8年前のあの日、あの病院の地下にあなたはいたの？タクルと一緒に本当にいたの？答えられないわよね。だってあなたは絶対にあそこにはいなかったもの。それは私が一番よく知ってる。それじゃあ、あなたは一体誰
？Kurusu's question was something she'd wondered about ever since Inoue had said she'd go into the basement with him. It was the one last thing she'd been unsure of, which she'd kept quiet about to protect her own secret. Until a little while ago, it had seemed like it didn't matter. She was willing to go her whole life without finding out, because Inoue Sariko was someone she loved. But now...
言いなさい。あなたは誰
Sariko said nothing, not a word. Did she really not know anything? Thought crossed her mind for a moment, but she quickly kicked it away. That was just what she wanted to believe. She'd had suspicions about Sariko for a long time, but she'd ignored them because she was too afraid to ask. The result of that had been Yui's death. Kurusu raised her hands and brought them together as if offering up a prayer. And the next moment... What the fuck? I knew it! Well, I suspected it. She brought them down hard and straight as if swinging a sword. Well, I think that proves it. So we can move back just a little. Her movement might have looked like pure reflex, but Kurusu didn't miss it. Which meant...
やっぱり、そうなのね。
That was the answer to everything.
そう、だったのね。
So his face became blank and expressionless. Everything's frozen. Probably gonna hit the button too many times. Whoops. She didn't frown or sigh at her own failure. Her manner became that of a beautiful doll. She was right. She'd been ready for it, but she still couldn't help but cry. She tried to stop herself. She grit her teeth, but Sariko's gaze wasn't fixed on her anymore. She stood legs apart as if judging the distance between herself and the thing in the seemingly empty space between them. She saw it. And now it was Sariko's turn to look into their eyes. Her eyes were different than Kurusu had ever seen before. It was as if they saw everything. Suddenly, Kurusu knew it wasn't just a smile. Her eyes did see everything. That was telepathy. A terrible, twisted power which exposed all your most treasured secrets. She heard the sound of herself clenching her jaw, and then she fought the tears and turned herself over to the rage that was boiling within her. That's a badass sword! In 6 years since she'd rebooted it, and it was almost sad now how easily it had come to her hand. The Dai Sword. The monstrous blade that only those with the power to make illusions real could wield. She refused to look away from the light that she'd never wanted to lose again, as she pointed the blade at her opponent.
あなたよね。南沢千里を使っていたのは。
お前に言われたくないよ、クルス殿。
Her voice made Kurusu shiver. And a blade even more wicked than her voice appeared in Sarika's hand, opening like a blooming poisonous flower. It was beautiful. For a moment she was blinded by the beauty of the weapon. She forgot that it threatened to cut into her soft flesh. Oh, whoops. Sarika leapt off the ground. The distance between them was closed in an instant. Kurusu brought down her own sword as hard as she could, without even time to follow her movements. And as she screamed,
ごめんね。
she could hear her voice. By the time she realized she was talking to Takeru, it was too late. The light flashed in front of her as if driving the thought from her mind. Why, Sarika? Same thought was going through my head like I was an idiot. I couldn't think. Why? What was she doing at a murder scene? Saliva caught in my throat as I moaned in pain. It took a lot of effort to keep myself from falling over. Damn it, I didn't have time to waste here. I stopped as I heard a sound. I was in front of a familiar place, but it wasn't the one I'd been coming to. I was on my way from Overdorm to Sarika's condo in Takashima. I saw something strange at the corner of my eye and looked up at the school building. The school at night was an imposing sight. That rhymed. And on top, I could see a feeble light like a fluorescent bulb that was about to burn out. I started to run, dragging my feet forward as I went. I raced up the stairs of the building without even bothering to take off my shoes. The lights in the yard illuminated my face with a certain rhythm as I ran. But the light was something different. That strange, dull light. I made it to the top of the stairs and slammed straight into the door. Yanked over the door, trying my best not to think about what I'd find beyond. Blood! First thing I saw wasn't the light of the Dai Sword, but the red. My heart beat loudly once, and then all was silent. Didn't feel anything at all. It was as if I totally frozen at what I'd seen. She was lying on the ground in front of me. Her clothes were red. Someone was in front of her, looking over their shoulder at me. No, not someone. I knew her, but she looked different than I'd ever seen before. And the deadly weapon in her hands made me shiver. And that weapon was deeply, deeply... Strong wind blew toward the open door. It was as if someone was trying to push me back in it. As if they were trying to get me away from the threat in front of me. She'll kill you too, run away now. Was the voice I heard an illusion? Or was it the person I cared about? Suddenly all sound disappeared. My head hurt like hell. I ignored it. All the doubts I had, all the feelings that had told me it was a lie, I left them all behind me. Behind? It was only when I saw that the distance between us was closing rapidly that I realized I had started running. I mean, the scream poured from my throat. I could tell from the way my throat was vibrating, but I couldn't hear the sound at all. I kept running, but everything seemed to be passing by in slow motion. I felt a pulsing in my brain. My hand reached out for nothing at all. Until now, I'd never been able to touch it, but now I could grab it easily. What was I touching? What was I holding? Some fragment of useless rationality was still within me, asking me these stupid questions. I was holding the thing that was going to slice her apart. My own delusions made manifest by real booting. A twisted blade that weighed nothing at all. When I swung the die sword, it was more than close enough to hit her. She'd already turned around and raised the die sword up from below. Why did she have a sword too? I didn't know. Before I could think about it, I brought down my weapon with all my strength. Sarika blocked it without making a sound. No, that wasn't right. My die sword stopped before she could block it. Right before it would hit her.
どうした?
I heard a voice I'd never heard before. I saw a look I'd never seen before. I couldn't move. She hadn't done anything to me. There was no mind control. I was the one in control. But my hands had stopped as if they'd stuck an invisible wall. Why? Why?
来ないのか?
Why couldn't I move? Why wouldn't my arms, my legs? My feelings caught up to me. My reason came back. And my heart finally started to scream. Why would Sarika do this? Pounding headache I've forgotten came back and I fell to my knees. My head felt like it was going to split. I grabbed it with both hands. At some point, my die sword had disappeared. The will that I tried to strike down Sarika with was already gone. I dug my nails in and closed my eyes. I could feel the veins in my forehead with my hands. I felt something sticky on my knees. Then I smelled a mild perfume. It was the same as before, when my little sister had been killed and ripped apart. It was the blood of someone who was every bit as important to me as my little sister, Kurusu no. Who had done this? Who had come at her with a blade and cold eyes? Tried to use my rage to drive it all away, but I couldn't.
Kurusu.
I heard a wordless voice. I forced my eyes open. Sarika was already gone. I looked around with blurry eyes, but there was no light from the dye sword, and no sign of her at all. I called over to Kurusu.
Kurusu.
She was crying. Big tears fell suddenly from her unlit eyes. Her chest was stained red, and each time she breathed, more blood came out. Pushed my hands up against the wounds. It was the first time in my life I had touched a girl's chest. It was so soft, but the dark, sticky liquid kept pouring out and staining my... I don't know what to do at a time like this. How can I save her? She was gonna suffocate. As she started to cough, I put my hands behind her head and quickly turned to the side. Blood poured forth from her mouth and fell onto the ground. Trying my best to hold the wound closed. But, okay, how was this okay? Oh, put the phone. She was bleeding so much. She was in so much pain. Yusa's face twisted and she started to cry again. And... she suddenly grabbed the hand that was on her chest. And her grip was so weak. In that moment I felt an indescribable chill in my heart. Be stronger. It's like you're going to die. Her breathing was getting so shallow that she couldn't speak. But she tried to grab my hand and bring it next to her head. But it looked like she shook her head just as little. And then she slowly brought my hand to her face and put it to her lips. Red from my fingers clung to her purple lips and shone like beautiful gloss. The sensation on my fingers was soft but terribly cold. And then I knew, yeah, she was going to die after all. Her hand moved away from mine and fell to the ground.
No.
The name fell from my lips. It was the first time I'd said it in half a year.
No.
It was the name of my big sister who always protected me.
No.
I lifted her up and held her tightly in my arms. She didn't move at all. I called her name again and again, knowing that from now on she would never answer me. At some point midnight had passed and it was November the 4th. The last of the return of the New Generation Madness murders had occurred right before my eyes.
たった今、警察から異例の発表がありました。実名による未成年の指名手配です。発表によりますと、警察は 本日11月4日午前0時30分、現在東京都渋谷区で起こっている一連の猟奇事件の重要参考人として、私立碧峰学園3年宮代拓君を全国に指名手配しました。
What?
繰り返しお伝えします。
No, wrong